Welcome to the Brand Doctor Podcast, strategies that help entrepreneurs build reputable and profitable brands. Here's your host, Henry Kaminski Jr.
Hello everyone, Henry Kaminski here from UniqueDesignz.net with another Brand Doctor Podcast episode for you guys. Today I have a very, very special guest. I don't get starstruck often, but today I'm a little starstruck, I'm not going to lie. So I've been following this guy on YouTube now for probably a good year, and I've watched this guy move and shake for a long time now, and he's now surpassed the 1 million subscriber mark on YouTube, and he just continues to level up his content on YouTube, and I'm a huge fan. I want to welcome to the show Evan Carmichael. What is going on, my man?
The Brand Doctor. What's up, man?
So, dude, let's get right into it, man. So I don't want to take for granted that everybody that listens to the show knows exactly who the man, the myth, the legend is. So I want to have you just take a few minutes and talk to us about, how you got started and what has gotten you to where you're at today, and then we'll take it from there.
Sure. I'll go super quick, and if you want to dive deep on anything, let me know. I had a bunch of entrepreneurial tendencies growing up, from selling art when I was 5 years old to not my own art, not real art, baseball cards, all that stuff. But, didn't have an entrepreneurial environment, and so I thought I wanted to be a banker. In university, fortunately, I connected with two entrepreneurs, joined them. Instead of taking the high-paying jobs, sucked for a long time, making $300 a month. Eventually figured it out. Those were some of the worst days of my life, lowest points of self-confidence and self-doubt and self-esteem. But we turned it around. 3 years later, we got bought. Joined a VC company, helping raise $500,000 to $15 million for companies. In that process, discovered I loved really helping entrepreneurs. And so I started speaking. I started my website. I started doing YouTube videos. I think people probably know me best from my YouTube channel or my books. It was just out of a desire to give back and help entrepreneurs and selfishly for myself. Like, I learn from everything that I create as well. And I'm thankful that guys like you and your audience are paying attention too, and allows you to scale a team so I can create even more content. And the channel I have just crossed 1 million subscribers, and it's daily content. We have 3 videos every day that goes up to help inspire and motivate entrepreneurs to believe in themselves.
That's awesome, dude. Listen, man, I dove into your book a couple months back, and it's one of those books that I keep handy because there's you pull no punch, number one, in the book. Number two, you don't leave no stone unturned. And that was one of the biggest things that I loved about the book. And a couple YouTube videos ago, I don't know, maybe a dozen videos ago, I did a quick little book review on your one word. And I was pushing people over to it because there's a lot of great branding advice that you actually put in the book. And I'm sure, I don't know if you did that intentionally or what, but I was picking up a lot of the stuff that really resonates with me and what I coach my clients on. So I have to say, huge shout out there. I want to take a peek at your website real quick because your headline on your website is basically it really resonates with me. And for those of you guys that are listening, he says on his website, right above the fold, he says, "I'm working to solve the world's biggest problem, untapped human potential. Join me." And so I just freaking love that because it really aligns with my beliefs. And my belief is simply this. I think everybody who walks on this planet has the opportunity to design the life of their dreams. And if they invest in themselves and in their brands, they're going to be able to do that. And I just want to be the one to help guide them along the way. Because when I figured that out for myself, I said, that's the secret. That's the ticket. So, you're a huge one word is believe. So I want to talk about believe because today's topic is believing in your brand. And so what about the word believe really just gets you fired up and just like motivates the shit out of you?
So if we step back, the reason why I landed on Believe or even thought about it was a branding exercise. I was looking at my old version of my website, and I wasn't happy with my tagline. And this all started as a tagline issue. I felt the reason why I wasn't happy with my business was I didn't like my tagline. And so Evan Carmichael, what should my tagline be? And that led to a much deeper conversation and soul-searching exercise to figure out, like, okay, well, this should really be about who I am and not just what my business is about. And so led me down this rabbit hole of self-discovery. I fundamentally believe that everybody has one primary core belief that they stand for, and when you figure that out, everything else becomes a lot easier to be able to design your life, and then for the entrepreneurs, bring that to your business. I want people to be able to look at my stuff and love it or eliminate themselves. Like, you land on my website and you're gushing. Like, I love this. This is what I'm all about. We have the same beliefs. That's great. Like, we're going to have a great time on your podcast. Maybe we do some business ventures together. Like, I'm attracting the people to me who feel the same way. And I'm sure lots of people will hit this page and say, that's the stupidest thing at the top ever. Like, human potential. I don't believe in human potential. Just go work for the man and you're screwed for the rest of your life. Great. Like, we're not aligned, man. Like, I don't want to be around you and you don't want to be around me. We're both great people. Just, this is not our path together. And so that's what I think people need for their businesses. I think people are too vanilla. They're too corporate. They look at big companies and say, we want to be like them. And so you model their websites and their social media, and it's just boring. And if people can't tell the difference between you and somebody else, then they're just going to beat you down on price, because I'm always going to go to the company with the bigger brand and the reputation and the history instead of this startup entrepreneur. And as an entrepreneur, your path through is your authenticity, is you. It's your values. It's like the fact that I get to work with someone who's passionate about what they do and they have a core belief system. That's how you win. And so I don't think enough entrepreneurs are doing that. I think there's not a lot of differentiation. Not in terms of what's actually being done. I think in how they brand themselves is very poor differentiation. But I think if you look behind the scenes, there's a lot of gold in each individual person. And it's great that guys like you are helping them uncover that.
Appreciate that. No, I appreciate that. It's a shame, because I work with a lot of consultants. I work with a lot of speakers and coaches. And, you know, I spend 30 minutes, 40 minutes with them on the phone. And I'm like, man, you are gold, like you just mentioned. But when I look at their social media presence or online presence, you would never know that, right? Because like you said, they're playing it safe and they don't want to ruffle feathers, but they're really doing themselves a disservice by doing that. So, which leads me into, you know, the next part of your website, which really, really caught my eye, was what you call the circle of potential. And so for those of you guys that are listening, when you get a chance, go to evancarmichael.com and just poke around. Because when I tell you there's a lot of video, there's a lot of personality on this site, which one of my big believers is, when the more personality, the more of your own personality that you could put on your website, the better you're going to be to either repelling the people that you want to stay away from, like Evan just said, or really bringing them in and really getting closer with them. One thing Russell Brunson said to me on one of our first coaching calls way back a few years back, you know, he said, dude, your website looks stunning. One of the most epic websites I've ever seen in my life, but there's none of your personality on here at all. And you are just another graphic designer out on the internet. So we need to fix this. And that's where we're going to start. And boom, put that personality out there and everything hit the fan. So let's get back to the circle of potential real quick. So it starts up top with self-awareness. Tell me how important that is when it comes to building your brand.
Yeah, I think you always have to start around self-awareness, because there's so many different strategies you can use to succeed in business, in life. But just because it worked for somebody else, it doesn't mean it's going to work for you. It might, but their truth may not be your truth. And so podcasting, great. Here's a strategy to grow your business. Podcast doesn't work for everybody. Not everybody should be a podcaster. And a lot of people try and they fizzle out. And you know how hard it is to make a regular podcast and book guests and be entertaining and promote it and all that. There's a lot of work that goes into podcasting. And so while it's one viable strategy for a business model, it's not necessarily the one for everybody. And so to help figure that out is for you to understand yourself. Like, Henry can make a great podcasting host because of XYZ. And so if you understand who you are and what you stand for, then it makes the decisions easier. Where I think most people walk around basically just living up to other people's expectations around them. From an early age, it's your parents and your family, and then as you get older, it's your peer group and whatever you did in school, and you're just constantly doing things because other people want you to do them instead of doing things because you actually want to do them. Now, for entrepreneurs listening, we have a little, we fight against that. We're the rebels. Your audience is probably a little more tuned already to this than 95% of the population. But still, like, how many of the things that you do are because you actually stand for something powerful in the world? Like, what's the mission that you're on? What do you stand for? And most people still can't really answer that question. And so until you can really make a solid answer for that, then your path forward it's not impossible. It's just slow. It's just you're constantly like dragging your feet through mud and you're uncertain about what decision to take because you just don't have the self-awareness. So for me, everything starts with self-awareness, and you build from there.
Yeah, that's that, and I see it like on the circle. It's the first thing up top, and I totally get now why that positioning is where it's at. And the next step, I don't know if I'm going to go all the way around the entire circle, but one of the things that I want to really applaud you on is in a lot of your videos that you produce on your YouTube channel. You're a big proponent of, listen, guys, don't just watch this video. Freaking do it. Like, do it. Like, create a plan. Create a forward motion or an action and do some of this stuff that I'm putting out there for you. Because, honest to God, Evan, I'm not going to lie, like, you're giving everybody the roadmap and the blueprint every single day with every piece of content that you put out there. It's really up to the entrepreneur to take it and run with it. Like you did a few videos on Simon Sinek, right? And I just happened to see him in New York City at the Madison Square Garden at the Global Synergy Forum. And man, when you get to see him in person, it's a whole different story, right? And when I doubled back to your videos, everything was in line. Like everything was spot on, right? But like I started to take action on some of the stuff that Simon said, and I saw a huge engagement increase in my social media, on my Instagram, on my Facebook Lives, on the podcast. So like, I just want you to touch upon a little bit, because I want the audience to hear it from the horse's mouth, how important it is. And being a video guy, how important it is to sort of embrace the suck in the beginning and just make sure that you just take action and be consistent with it.
Well, I think that's the game. I think for entrepreneurs, it's really hard to wake up and be like, yes, today is amazing. I love Mondays. This is awesome. Like nobody wakes up like that. Like maybe there's some freaks who do it, but I don't wake up like that. And so when you're an entrepreneur and you don't have a boss, and yes, our customers are our boss, but we don't really have a boss. It's just really easy to let ourselves down. Yeah. We commit to ourselves that we're going to do this and we're going to hit these goals. And then if you don't, what happens? Like if you don't show up to work and your boss is going to come down on you and say, listen, Henry, man, you're slacking, you're going to get fired. And that lights a fire under your ass to get off and go do more work. But as an entrepreneur, we don't have that. And so you have to take ownership of that and bring that into your life. And what ends up happening is entrepreneurs, we get crazy inspired by something. You go see Simon, you listen to Henry's podcast, you watch one of my videos, like something sparks, and then boom, you're on fire. Like, look at that. You take that advice from Simon, you're applying it to your Instagram, things start blowing up. And then you fall back down. Like, this is just the pattern. You have that hit of inspiration, and we fall back down. And so, like, Tuesday we're on fire, and then the rest of the week it just crashes back down. And if you look at anybody who's had success, and I think on my YouTube channel we maybe profiled more successful people than anybody, at least on YouTube for sure, it's the consistent action. It's the daily consistent action to move forward on your goals. And so it starts with the self-awareness to figure out who it is that you are. So you're figuring out the right actions for you, and then figuring out how you can take action. And so when I look at the circle of potential, there's action plan, there's the environment. So like, what does your environment look like so that you want to come in and work? It's a podcast, so they can't see my background, but I'm in an office. I have 5 pictures that are huge on my wall that all these people mean something to me. For most people, they may not know half the people on that wall. But I walk in and automatically I want to get to work. I want to believe more because I don't want to wake up and have to motivate myself every day. That's hard. If you're forcing yourself to have to wake up and tell yourself to do something, you won't do it all the time. But if you can make it as a part of your environment so that it's just automatically there, then when you wake up and you go to work, you're more likely to do good work, motivated work, bold work. So whatever your office is, whether people have a home office or a basement office, or they have their own company and they have people working for them, think about your actual environment and where you're working, and does it inspire you? Does it inspire creativity? I can see Henry on this call, and he's got lots of bright light coming in, and he's got this huge room that he's working in, and that's great. You just want to make sure that that's intentional. The workplace that you go in and sit down in is inspirational to you. Yeah. And so all around that circle of potential is different hit points that basically help you discover what your potential is, and then once you have that, then actually take the action to reach it.
Yeah, that's a great point. And it's funny you mentioned that. So I'm listening to you and I'm saying to myself, Evan creates an environment that gets him motivated so that, for lack of better words, he doesn't have to motivate himself. When he walks into that room and he looks at those images that are beautifully done on his wall, they're mounted canvases, it immediately gets them triggered. So I sort of followed suit the other day. One of my designers actually, every week I have him design 10 iPhone wallpapers. And it has the Unique Designz logo, and it has some sort of motivational, thing that gets me going. And we've been working together now for 2 years, so he really knows what I like. And so I took 2 of his wallpapers and I actually created mounted canvases with them. And so I have one on my right that says, "The climb to the top is worth the view." And it's got this beautiful picture of this guy's feet kind of dangling off the top of this building. And there's a beautiful picture of it looks like it's almost like Brazil or something, like a shore. And then on my left, there's a picture of a lion, and the lion's looking up, and it says, "You become what you think about the most." And so when I walk into my office, those are the first 2 things that I see every morning. And it just reminds me of what and why and how I need to be doing things in this room every single day to get me going. So piece of advice there is to create that atmosphere, to create that environment to get you going. So that is definitely a piece of advice that I didn't want to forget in this particular podcast. The other thing that I want to talk about is the big C word. And you actually have it on your website too, which I immediately noticed that: collaboration. One of the things that I'm doing in 2018 is really, really increasing the amount of collaboration that I do. And I used to have this syndrome. I'm gonna get a little personal. I'm gonna get a little vulnerable with you. Back when I was a real jerk, when I first started my business, nobody could tell me anything. It was like I had the world by the balls, and I always had to be the big fish in the small pond. And that was one of the biggest mistakes I made as an entrepreneur. When I realized, when I started to get coaching, and I started to realize that if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong freaking room. You need to get around people that are way better than you in what it is that you want to accomplish, and just stay humble, be a listener, I call myself a forever student, and really, really absorb. And so when I look at Evan Carmichael's YouTube channel and I see the engagement and I see the amount of passion that goes into that, that's inspiring. So again, it's no surprise I want Evan Carmichael on the show, because I want to, I want his influence to not only influence me on a one-to-one, but to influence my audience as well. So I want you to kind of talk about, because listen, everybody that says I'm a self-made guy, I call bullshit on that every time. Why? Because look at any of the heavy hitters out there. They had someone that helped them. So talk about the importance of collaboration inside the Evan Carmichael brand and how that has leveled up your business over the years.
Yeah, so I think, again, if you could start with self-awareness and figure out what your core value is and make that front and center, it's so much easier to create collaborations. So I don't know how we connected. I don't know if you saw my website or YouTube channel and said, hey,
it was literally a comment, because you always prompt us to comment after a video, right? So I commented and I said, hey, by the way, I would love to have you on my podcast. Boom, I just asked.
Great. Yeah.
That was it.
And so I have a sizable audience, but still, for anybody who's just getting started, who doesn't have a big audience yet, you're attracting, like Henry likes my content. He likes the message of belief. Not everybody will, and that's fine. But for people who follow my stuff, what I try to do is through branding, be a magnet to bring the right people to me. Mm-hmm. I'm a much better marketer than salesman. I am not the guy to go door to door and sell my thing. I don't talk to the guy on the airplane next to me. I don't go to networking events. I hate that stuff. I'm introverted. It may not come out on this, but naturally I'm an introvert, and so if my business relied on sales, I would fail. Luckily, marketing is a great thing, and branding is a fantastic thing, and you can use that as a magnet to bring the right people to you. And so I asked for comments. Henry left a comment, and here we are doing this thing together, right? You could apply the same thing on a smaller scale with everybody who's listening, everybody who's paying attention. But it's clear what it is that my brand is all about. And it's clear that the person or the people watching are getting value from it, and then they want to interact more, and they want to. It's not just collaborations like this. How do I get YouTube? How do I get speaking gigs? It's through my YouTube channel. How do I get my book deal? Through my YouTube channel. Like, everything has grown a big part because of my YouTube channel, and I'm just attracting people who feel the same way that I feel, who believe the same things that I believe. And I think if you're looking at forming collaborations, the best way to do it is to be a part of somebody's community. The easiest way to do it is to look at the people that you look up to. Like, I don't know who Henry's trying to get on the channel. I think you would have a way better chance, as an example, going after someone like me who might have 1 million subscribers and he's a huge fan of and he can relate and he watches the videos, versus going after someone who has 100,000 subscribers who he has no idea about. Like, you can hit for bigger fish if you are aligned. Like, the best people to try to do collabs with are the people who you're already following and paying attention to. You don't need to go and make a list of all the people you want to potentially connect with. Like, just think about who you're already subscribing to on these platforms, because you're already aligned.
Right.
And I'm happy to come on and share with Henry, because we're spreading the same message. He's doing it through his way, a podcast, branding. Awesome. I love that. I'm doing it through my way. And there's these moments in time where we'll run parallel paths together. The first collaborations I did on YouTube were with two guys named Tim Schmoyer and Daryl Eves. And if you guys don't know them, they are basically about YouTube, how to grow a YouTube channel. And so when I was trying to grow my YouTube channel, I consumed every piece of content they were putting out. I was communicating with them on the comments. I was responding to every call to action. Every video I basically left a comment on. And you want to do that. If there's somebody who you want to be able to collaborate with who's maybe hitting above your weight class, you want to find a way to help them. You want to find a way to be a part of their community. If they're tweeting, you retweet, you respond to them. They have a video, you leave a comment for them. What you want to be is a known quantity. So if Henry's leaving a comment on all my videos, one comment, now maybe that was luck of the draw, right? He said, hey, I have a show, great, we picked it up and we go. Maybe I missed that comment. But if you are consistently leaving comments on somebody's channel, you're consistently interacting with them and being a champion for them, eventually I'm going to be like, who's this Henry guy, right? I'm just curious. Like, this guy is spreading so much love, so much help. He's always in the comments. He's always helping the other people there. Like, I love this guy. What's he about? I click on his thing. Oh, brand doctor. That's interesting, right? So, like, you should be a known quantity to that person when you're reaching out. So then if Henry reaches out to me, he's like, hey, absolutely, man. Thank you so much for all the love you've given. There are people who reach out to me who ask me to review their app. It's like, I don't know who you are. Like, if you're just spamming me, I'm not going to do it. But there's other people who I know who are involved in every live chat that I do and sharing everything I'm putting out. And as soon as I drop a book, they're buying it and taking pictures and tweeting it. If they ask me for anything, within reason, I would say yes. Like I wouldn't necessarily invest in their company, but I'm happy to have a call and help them out because they've given me a lot of value. And so you start with the people who are already aligned with what you are interested in. Think of the people who you're already following, and then find a way to contribute as much to their mission as possible so that you are a known quantity to them. And then you reach out and you have whatever ask you have for them.
That makes so much sense. And Gary Vaynerchuk kind of backed you up on all of that. I was at Wine Library a few weeks ago when he did this little intimate gathering, and people were asking him, like, how do people get on your radar? And he said, people follow me religiously. They realize what it is that's important to me that week or that day or that month, and they just try to help me. And they come out forwardly and try to help me. And that really touches my heart. That gets my attention. That makes me want to do what I do back. And he sort of uses his own strategy. His people are using his own strategy against him. Whereas, the more you give, the more it's like you almost feel guilty. I had an hour strategy call with a consultant last Friday because he said, you put out so much content on your Facebook. I almost feel guilty not to give you an hour of my time. This is his words, not mine. And I saw the comment that you put out yesterday, and I think I can help you with it. And so we jumped on the phone. An hour turned into an hour and a half and sparked this whole shift in what it is of one of my products that I was putting out there. And I was like, holy shit, see that? Just put yourself out there and pay attention to what other people are wanting and needing and what's important to them. And that's what's really going to connect. And, I've seen you collaborate with Daryl Eves and Schmoyer, and I started following those guys too. And every time every time they go live or whatever, I'm always on it because those guys really got a pulse on YouTube. And I see a lot of attributes in your content. You put your own spin on it, your own spin on it, but I can see a lot of their stuff coming out in you, and that's great. I mean, that's awesome. That's how you get better, right? So just to wrap this up, because I like to keep these shows super tight. So two-part question. 2018, what's Evan Carmichael up to? What's he got his eyes on?
Yeah, that's a great question. I just came through at the end of 2017, hitting 1 million subscribers and launched my new book within 7 or 8 days of each other. So that was a crazy ride. I'm now figuring out the next path. I want to have an even bigger impact. On the YouTube side, my next goal is 10 million subscribers. That's unlikely to happen in 2018, but I'm building the plan to get there. And then the idea of the circle of potential is what I'm exploring and I'm really passionate about. And to be honest, it's not all worked out. I'm making investments in some companies. I'm launching some new companies. I'm bringing on a team for some businesses. And so I'm just trying to figure out where the best use of my time is to help basically accomplish that mission. So I'm hardcore on YouTube and figuring out how to make the best use of the circle of potential.
That's awesome. And then last but not least, if you can send some parting words, some inspiration, motivation for 2018 for people that are either seasoned business owners, entrepreneurs, or folks that are just starting out and ready to take their first step into entrepreneurship, what can you tell them?
So I do two parts. I'll lean one on inspiration and one on tactical. I'll start with the tactics of one, figure out the thing that makes you feel most bold. Because we've all had moments of boldness and inspiration and courageous and just times where you felt unstoppable. And that's probably not every day. That's probably these little blips on your radar. Figure out what that is that led to it and then put that into your morning routine. So if listening to Henry is a thing that gets you fired up and like, man, I need to take my brain to the next level, then how many episodes of your podcast you have?
This is 94.
94! You've got
I
94.
started 90 days. I've been doing podcasts one a day.
You're doing one a day. So you've got, like, listen, if Henry is the guy that gets you fired up, is like, this is the guy to help build my brand, then every morning you listen to Henry. Don't make it happen some random Thursday afternoon that you happen to tune in to Henry and then you're fired up for the rest of the day and then you wake up Friday and it's all starting from scratch again. Or if it's watching my video, or if it's reading a book, or if it's whatever, like hugging your kitten on the balcony with the sun in the morning is a thing that gets you going, great. Like, no judgment. Go do that thing. You already know what it is that has gotten you fired up and felt bold. So just put that into your morning routine. Because if you did that for the next year, if you did that for all of 2018, every day you woke up and you did the thing that made you feel bold, you will not recognize the life that you had by the end of the year compared to where you started. That's a tactical thing. The more inspirational one, I'd say, I'd like to leave people with just make today count. Make it matter. I think it's easy to think about putting something off to tomorrow, and there's lots of time to figure out your dream and to make your business work. I want to make every moment count. I want my grandkids to watch this interview. This interview with Henry needs to be watched by my grandkids because I brought it, right? Like, that's my mindset going into everything I'm making. And can I get better? Sure. If Henry and I do this in 3 years, will we both be better? 100%. But that doesn't mean I didn't try to bring my best to what I'm doing right now for his show. And so if you try to bring that approach, that today I'm going to create something that I want my grandkids to be proud of, that I want to tell a story and show them, whether you're a graphic designer and you're just making a beautiful iPhone, you have to explain what an iPhone was to your grandkids, right? But you're proud. Like, today I'm making something beautiful that I'm going to show my grandkids. And just raising the stakes, making it more important. That today, like what happens before the sun goes down today is important. Try to remind yourself of that daily. Again, it makes a huge difference in your life.
That's awesome, dude. Ev, you're a beautiful soul, my man. Guys that are listening, evancarmichael.com. You have to go check out his website. You have to subscribe to his YouTube channel. Let's, all of us, every single one of us that is listening to this show, let's help Ev get to the 10 million subscriber mark quicker than he thinks it's going to take. So I can promise you this, and you have my word. When you get to his YouTube channel, you will not be disappointed. I mean, he is part of my morning ritual. I either do a shot of an espresso every morning, or I'm doing a top 10 at least 3 to 4 times a week, because I want to learn from those folks that are crushing it. And Evan gives you the blueprint and gives you a one-stop shop to get all of that information. And then the rest of it is up to you. So, guys, we're going to wrap this up right now. Evan, I appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on the show.
I love it, man. Listen, I haven't been called Ev in a long time, so that was special. I like that.
That's New Jersey. That's New Jersey. I have a tendency to know somebody for 3.5 minutes and completely shorten their name like that.
I like it. Bringing me back to like elementary school, Ev. I like it.
So, guys, real quick, some housekeeping things. If you haven't shared this podcast with a friend or a colleague, please do that. It will mean so much to me, and I will be super, super thankful for it.
Come on, guys. Henry's bringing mad love every day for you guys. You got to show some love back and share it.
Now he's making me turn red. This big old bald head's getting bashful now. And then last but not least, guys, go to Facebook, go to the search query, type in the Brand Doctors Hangout, and go check out the Facebook group. We got about a few hundred entrepreneurs in there right now that are all helping each other build each other's brand and helping them take their businesses to the next level. So come join me there. We do a lot of Facebook Lives, and I do a lot of interaction, a lot of Q&A stuff over there. So come check that out. Evan, thanks again.
Let me sweeten that. Hey, listen, anybody who goes after listening to this podcast and leaves the best question on the group, you got to join the group and leave the best question as determined by Henry. So we're putting him on the spot. I'm going to send him a signed copy of my book, Your One Word, the one we've been talking about today. So go to the group, Sign up, leave the best question, show some engagement, and you might get a free copy signed by me.
Boom. And so I will keep Evan up to date on this, and we will make sure that you get that signed copy, hands down. Guys, appreciate your attention today. Hope you got some value out of it. Evan dropped some bombs, and just pleasure to be here. Awesome day. Have an awesome day, everyone, and I'll catch you on the next episode.
You've been listening to the Brand Doctor Podcast with Henry Kaminski Jr. To get your appointment with the doctor, visit Brand Audit at www.uniquedesignz.net.